These pants are too big in the waist and the waist looks bulky and ugly even with the belt on. Today I am taking in pants with a sewing machine, so follow along this step-by-step process. I start by pinning the excess fabric at the waistband with safety pins at the center back of back seam, gradually going down the seam and pinning the extra material to get the desired fit. Next, I use tailor's chalk to mark the outline of new seam line, making sure I chalk mark for every pin. Once that's done, I remove the safety pins and mark the middle of the waistband and copy the take-in measurements. You can do that with ruler or your measuring tape. Now is the time to open up the waistband seams, and I use my seam ripper to do so. Very gently unstitch the existing seam that is connecting the waistband with the back of the pants. I very carefully unpick the stitching, making sure I won't make any holes in the fabric. Okay, in this step, I mark my new sewing line following my earlier chalk marks. I am not going to trim off the excess fabric because it is not too big and I can work it in as a seam allowance, but it is a personal preference. I cut in the middle of the waistband of the pair of pants. In the next step, I coordinate the marked chalk lines and pin them with straight pins. I do the same to the center back seam. Okay, so this is going to be my new seam. And to secure the new seam, I start and finish the stitching with back stitching technique. And I use straight stitch function on my sewing machine to sew the seam in place following the chalk line. Next step is to connect the back part of the pants to the pants waistband. I hold these together with pins temporarily, and a good idea is to press down the new seam beforehand. Okay, now I will sew it in place. Again, I backstitch first, next I run the straight stitch and backstitch again. Great! And now it's the time to put the seam allowance inside the waistband, just like this, and fold in the extra seam allowance of the waistband. And pin with straight pins. Perfect! Time for finishing top stitch. Here I have to be careful not to stitch over the belt loops or the fabric and only stitch in the space between the two connecting fabrics. It's like stitching the ditch that you're gonna hide the stitching. Beautiful! Pants fit comfortably and it's a perfect fit. Please like and share this video if you find it useful and comment with your feedback. And follow for more. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.